Okay, so a lot of people ask me about the speaking exam at every level. And when I say a lot of people, I mean thousands of people. A lot of people ask me about this. It's a part that makes everyone very nervous, obviously. Again, the big problem is that some people are just naturally very good at speaking and other people are not. It doesn't really correlate with your academic ability or even your level of English, though of course those things help. You know, if you know a lot of things and you're very good at English, then this part is going to be significantly easier. But there are people who pass the Cambridge exams purely because their speaking is good enough and it bumps the rest of their score up. I've got a student who's just done their first certificate, literally last week got the result. They failed. They nearly got B2 level on all of the parts, but not quite. I think maybe on the reading they did just scrape it, like 160 points. And then they got like 170 something on the speaking, and they passed the exam. So it's obviously another thing that you can work on, you can improve. It doesn't necessarily correlate with your overall academic ability or level in the language. So I'm going to have another look at a video of a couple of candidates doing the C2 exam, the Cambridge Certificate of Proficiency in English exam, for a change. And I'm just going to see what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, try and just go through the first part of the exam, part one, where they're just asking you really simple questions about like where you live and what you do and things like that, and show what I think they're doing right, what I think they're doing wrong, and how I would answer those questions. So yeah, let's have a look.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, this kid's off to a good start. He's as cool as it gets. He doesn't even need to say good morning. Hey, I've got an exam to pass, lady. Let's get on with this.
My name is Sally Matson, and this is my colleague Natasha Carr.
Morning.
And your names are?
Micah.
And
Dan.
And Dan. Yeah, that must be like, what's that, Xhosa or something, South African. I don't know.
Could I have your mark sheets, please? Thank you. First of all, we'd like to know something about you. Where are you from, Micah?
I'm from the southeast of the Netherlands.
And you, Dan?
From Sweden, just an hour south of Stockholm.
So even though Dan, I think his name is a little bit cocky, a bit arrogant, and he speaks in this South African dialect, he's a bit annoying, but he's clearly very confident, or he seems very confident right off the bat. You know, he's like, yeah, from wherever, Sweden, about an hour or so from Stockholm. Doesn't bother you with the details. You don't need to know the name of my obscure little village in Sweden. Maybe I'll take you sometime. We could have a sauna. But he exudes confidence, doesn't he? And the girl, I'm sorry, I've forgotten her name. We'll see her again now. Her answer to the question is less confident. It's more robotic, isn't it?
I'm from the southeast of the Netherlands.
Like, where are you from? It's like, okay, I was expecting this. I know what to say. I'm from the southeast of the Netherlands. It's like, okay. You don't need to answer. How would you answer that? Think in your own language. Like, someone asked me, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from Sheffield. You know, the North Yorkshire. South Yorkshire. From the North. Yeah, I'm getting nervous myself now. But the point is, you know, so they're asking you where you're from, not asking for coordinates.
And Dan, is English your main subject of study?
No, really, actually. I'm studying to become a doctor later on. So, yeah.
What is up with that nervous lip smacking? Actually training to become a doctor, so yeah. I now understand why he's so smug. Doctors, isn't it? Doctors don't become doctors to save lives, do they? We all know why they become doctors. It's to say, actually, I'm a doctor. So, yeah. But anyway, yeah, still very confident, very good, even if, yeah, a bit annoying.
And,
oh, God, now she's doing it.
Micah, you said you're from the Netherlands. What's the most interesting place for visitors to see there?
I would say Amsterdam. I think that's the most beautiful city in our country. And there's a lot to see in Amsterdam. We have a lot of really good museums. And the water in the city is very beautiful, a lot of big parks. So I would say Amsterdam.
Okay, so she's actually done that bit a little bit better. No, she answered the question. I don't think it is a problem with understanding. She's doing pretty well there. But she has fallen into a trap, which is going into lists, right? And I always tell my students, don't go into lists, right? You've been asked what's like an interesting place, I think, to visit in your country, or the most interesting place to visit. And I think she says Amsterdam because there's some really good museums. Stick with that point. You don't need to start saying the water's beautiful and there's parks, I think she says. It's like you start getting into lists of things that are in Amsterdam. No. Why is it interesting? Get in, get out. You've said it. Amsterdam's really interesting because, yeah, it's got a lot of history, a lot of museums. It's got some nice architecture. So round it off, we say, I think that's probably the most interesting place for tourists to visit. No? And then you're just like, yeah, come on, next question. I'm ready. No?
Dan, how important do you think it is to have a routine when working or studying?
I think it's quite important. You have to set up a routine and stick to it. And I think from there on you can improve your discipline. And it will help you in your everyday life, actually, to have a schedule or timetable of what you're going to do and when you're going to finish.
So Dan's clearly a confident speaker. I imagine he's a confident speaker in Swedish and in English. He's just one of those people who, with the tone of their voice, lets you know, I have nothing more to say. I'm ready for the next part of the conversation. He's quite dominant. And it's really good what he does repeat himself a little bit, but to be honest, with his intonation, the way he expresses himself, it just sounds like he's reiterating his point. How important do you think it is to have routines for working and studying? He says, I think it's pretty important to create routines, try to stick to them. Maybe you can improve your discipline over time. For me, I would end it there, I would say. So, yeah, for me personally, yeah, routines are very important. And then you're finished and you're out. Because you're only going to get 3 or 4 questions maximum in this part of the test. Then he starts to say yes to meet deadlines and things like that, and then he starts to repeat himself a little bit, but he rounds it off very nicely by saying, I think it's very important to have a timetable of what you're going to do and when you're going to finish it. And it kind of sums up everything he's just said. So really good, really confident, and yeah, he's nailing it.
Micah, how important is it to speak a foreign language in your country?
I think it's very important. There are not a lot of foreigners who speak Dutch. So Belgium, of course, has a part that speaks Dutch as well. But it's very important for us to learn English. I think it's a very important language because it's known globally around the world. A lot of people speak English. So I would say, especially if you're from Holland or another country where your mother language isn't known very well. In other countries, it's very, very important to learn foreign languages.
Thank you.
You know, it's really funny that I think one of the things that we don't perfect at school, even in our own languages, is learning how to speak and learning how to write. And often the same advice that I give to people for improving their writing, to improve their writing, is the same advice that I give them to improve their speaking, and it's to be concise, to be clear, and using expression, so using tone in your voice to indicate what you're trying to say. Everything she just said there is perfectly legitimate. They're saying, how important is it to learn a second language in your country? And she's trying to get the point across that Dutch is not a widely spoken language. So gets a little bit into a list again and starts naming countries that speak Dutch, and it's like, not really the point. But if you say it in a different way, in a more confident way, you know, in a more concise way, in a clear, short way that shows that you're answering the question, that you're focused, right? So the way I would say that is, In the Netherlands, it's very important to speak a second language because there are very few countries that speak Dutch, you know. And so, you know, if we want to get a good job, if we want to be able to travel, we need to learn English, and, you know, probably we have to learn a couple of other languages as well that could be useful, but definitely English. You have to know English if you're from the Netherlands. And I think, again, just because I'm going up and down with my voice and I'm like really showing that I'm thinking about what I'm saying, you know, it's all about being confident. It's about the intonation, showing that you're answering the question, showing that you're thinking about one or two things at the same time. It's difficult. It takes practice, but it's something that people don't learn how to do, frankly. And I'm going to show you. Okay, let's carry on.
Now we'd like to ask what you think about one or two things. Dan, what do you find is changing most in your country?
I think nowadays there's a lot of discussions about the environment. We in Sweden has always been in the front about the climate change debate, I think.
Okay, flexing about Sweden being at, by the way, the forefront of the climate debate. Jesus, I thought we had enough with Greta Thunberg.
Sweden has always been in the front about the climate change debate, I think. But now we're starting to realize our goals. So I think that's the main argument right now. And well, politicians are still in dispute about what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do it. But I think we're on the way to, solve it somehow.
Oh, he's good. But, well, we must focus on the question. What is changing the most in your country at the moment? It's a difficult question, isn't it? How would you answer that? To be honest, they asked me that question, I'm going to say, that's a difficult question. I suppose a lot of things are changing. Obviously, if we're talking about in the last year, well, everything has changed. Like, we've got the coronavirus situation. So that's easy. We can just talk about that for the entire speaking exam. But yeah, maybe he lost sight a little bit of what the question was about there. But I guess he was talking about how we're dealing with the environmental situation, global warming, things like that. I'm not sure he exactly answered it, but again, he's so confident, he speaks so clearly and calmly. He's doing well, yeah.
And Micah, with more shopping being done over the internet, what future is there for ordinary shops?
I think shopping over the internet won't take over everything. As a person, I don't like to shop over the internet. I like to go to stores, see the clothes or shoes or whatever you're buying, try them on. And I think internet shopping is a lot less personal and it's not as good as go to regular shops.
Thank you.
Okay, so she hasn't ended badly there. That's the end, by the way, of part one. Really easy, isn't it? They're really simple questions. They're always the same questions as well. Online shops and physical shops. That's a big one again with the coronavirus situation now. I mean, shops being forced to close. Amazon are dominating the market. And I think make a clear distinction. Well, me personally, I prefer to go to a physical shop and interact with members of the human race. God damn it. But that's just me. The fact is, people are like water. They'll flow to whatever place gravity pulls them. We're liquid. No, but I guess my point is that, I guess people are going to tend to go for the easier option, the more comfortable one, aren't they? They're going to order more online. Anyway, that's the end of part one. They both did pretty well. I think I'll make another video soon about the part two from these two and how they do that, how they deal with the photos and stuff. But yeah, I've got a lot more advice, a lot more things to say about that part. Today has just been a bit of a laugh. Goodbye.